Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So today's video is my baby kind of essentials video. I don't want to say it's totally essentials because there are items that I'm going to include in this video that definitely aren't essentials and they're just like nice things to have. But basically it's everything that I've found to be really useful since having Goldie. Goldie is now 5 months old, so I feel like I've had quite a good chunk of time now to kind of work out what we use, what we don't use, what's really helpful, what's actually just not helpful at all. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video and you find it informative. I'm going to break it down into categories. So I'm going to start with like feeding, sleeping, travel, that kind of thing. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get on with the video. One thing I will say is, one thing I've learned since being a mum is things to do with babies can be quite controversial. So everything that I'm recommending here is things that I use and I like, but it's over to you to do your own research on that particular item and then buy it at your own discretion, if that makes sense. I know there are a lot of people out there that don't agree with, for example, prep machines, like bottle prep machines. It's up to you how you feed your baby and if that's something you want to use. So that's what I'm just going to leave it there and just say that that is what it is. Yeah, it's just, being a mum is just everybody always has opinions on things basically. But for me, this is what I use, this is what works for us, this is what I'm happy to use, and yeah, we'll just leave that there. But I just felt like I had to include that little disclaimer because I know that there are a lot of opinions out there basically. So I'm going to start with feeding. So first up is the prep machine that I was just talking about then. So we use the Baby Brezza. I think it's called the Advanced Formula Pro. I'll link absolutely everything in the description box down below. That is the prep machine that we use. I looked into the Tommy Tippy one as well, and the reason that I decided to go for the Baby Brezza over the Tommy Tippy is because a few of my friends have the Tommy Tippy one, and with the Tommy Tippy you have to actually manually count out the scoops for the ounces of your bottle. The Baby Brezza one does it for you, which is just a lifesaver because when you have a screaming baby in your ear, for some reason you lose the ability to count to 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever it is you're doing. Just so many times when I was looking after my friend's baby, I remember having him held next to me and I'm trying to count out his bottle and then I forgot how many scoops I've done and then I have to start the whole thing again and it takes so much longer, and it just, I know it sounds silly, but honestly I think you will understand if you are a mum and in that same situation as me. So yeah, the Baby Brezza is great. It literally makes a bottle in about 10 seconds, if that. It's so quick. It's great because you aren't constantly cleaning the filters like you are with the Tommy Tippy. You do have to clean like the little kind of small filter, but it's really easy to clean, whereas I know the Tommy Tippy one is a little bit more complicated. So yeah, for me, we absolutely adore our Baby Brezza. It's so good. Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. The one thing I will say is it did recently break on us, so that's after 5 months of use. The thing that kind of turns the formula did break, but they were really good and they sent me out a brand new one straight away. So I think we were probably just, ooh. There we go. I think we were probably just like a little bit unlucky with it maybe. I hadn't really heard of anyone else's breaking, but the customer service was really good on it and they literally sent me out a new one straight away. So like that doesn't really bother me. But yeah, we were without it for a day whilst they were sending out a new one. And oh my god, I missed it so much. So yes, I could not recommend the Baby Brezza more. Okay, so next up I wanted to talk about the Newbie Rapid Cool. Now I know a lot of people who don't use prep machines will use this instead. I use it alongside the prep machine because I use this when we go out and about, and I also use it when we travel as well. So basically what it is you get a flask that you pop your boiling water in, which is this one, and then you also get this flask which has some kind of like amazing technology in it where it will cool down boiling water to drinkable temperature. It has this kind of display on it that will tell you when the water is at drinkable temperature. So when that's green, it means it's at the right temperature. So basically, the way that I use this is kind of different to how other people use it. I'll put boiling water in here and then I'll bring my bottle out and formula in like a little pot all already measured out to the correct amount. And then when Goldie needs a bottle, I will use this flask and pour like about 2 ounces into the bottle with the formula in. So that's the hot shot, and that will kill the bacteria. And then I'll pour the rest of this hot water into this. You turn it up and down, upside down a few times, and I think it's literally like within a minute or so, it is drinkable temperature. So then I pour the rest of that up to the right amount in the bottle. I do have to let it sit for a little bit longer just because obviously I put that boiling hot water into it, but it's pretty much drinkable within like a minute or so. So it's a really, really quick way of doing it. Other people use it so they'll actually make the bottle in this one. So they'll pop the formula inside here as well. The only reason I don't do that is because then you have to sterilize it every time because you've had the formula in it. So I just find it a lot easier to do it the way that I just explained, and then that means that you aren't constantly sterilizing this, and maybe if you have to make 2 bottles out and about, you can use the same one. So yeah, that's the Newbie Rapid Cool. It's really, really great for creating bottles at the exact right temperature ready for your baby to drink. I have a feeling this might be a long video, so strap in, guys. Okay, so for bottles, we use the MAM bottles. The reason I got them is because they have a feature in them that makes them anti-colic, because they have this like airflow system at the bottom, and also because you can sterilize these in the microwave. So I just thought if there was ever a time when I was away and I wasn't able to sterilize them or whatever it is, you can sterilize them in the microwave. She really likes them. Goldie's got on with them really, really well. So yeah, very happy with them. That's kind of all I have to say about them. The only thing I would say is, it's probably not worth buying the small bottles of the, like I'll post the 2 kind of sizes side by side. I'll just buy the large size straight away because you're going to need to go up to the large size anyway once your baby gets bigger and you give them bigger bottles. So it's probably not worth buying the small bottles because you'll end up not using them after about 2 or 3 months. So yeah, up to you, but that's just my one piece of advice. So sterilising, as I just mentioned, the MAM bottles can be sterilised in the microwave. You can also sterilise using the Milton tablets and things like that, but I just find using a UV steriliser is just game changing. It is so, so quick and easy. So we have the Vital Baby UV steriliser. And it's brilliant because I literally wash all the bottles up and I pop them in there wet, like they don't need to be dry first. So I pop them in there wet, and it has a setting that it dries and sterilizes. It takes 30 minutes, but it's honestly so, so good. It also has a setting where it just sterilizes. So if you've got something that's dry, or I don't know, perhaps you just want to chuck like a teether in there or a dummy or whatever it is, it will sterilize it. So yeah, I just find it so, so helpful. It's been a lifesaver. Like when we go away from home and I don't have it and I have to sterilize the bottles using like the Milton tablets and like the big bucket of water and stuff like that, I just find it such a faff, whereas that is so much easier. So I would really, really recommend getting a UV sterilizer. And like I said, we have the Vital Baby one and it's been great. And it's not like too ugly either, you know, like you've got like so many contraptions in your kitchen. It's quite nice because it's kind of like tucked away, it's just like a little kind of square. So yeah, that is the sterilizer we have and I really recommend it. And then just another few bits on the feeding side of things. Muslins, get so many of them. Like you will need loads. Particularly if your baby's formula fed. If your baby's breastfed, it's a little bit different because I know they aren't as sick when they are breastfed. But formula fed babies, I didn't realise like they can be very, very sicky, particularly if they also have like colic and reflux and things like that. So we literally go through so many muslins because Goldie is always throwing up. Like even if it's just a little bit, muslins are just so handy, and I definitely didn't have enough to start with, so I really recommend getting lots of muslins. They're also great because they double up as so many other things. Like, you know, you can use them as like blankets, you can use them as like a sunshade or whatever it is. They're just great to have. I really like the Avery Row ones. They're very, very soft, and Goldie actually uses them as like comforters as well. Like she'll snuggle into them and like she holds them when she sleeps and stuff. So yeah, I really like the Avery Row ones. John Lewis do good ones, H&M do good ones. You can get them pretty much anywhere really, but I just recommend having quite a few of them. And on that note, also having quite a lot of bibs. That's one thing that I really did not expect, and I didn't take any bibs with me to the hospital. And Goldie had quite quick delivery, and often babies with quick deliveries can be very, very mucousy and throw up quite a lot of mucus. So every outfit was just getting destroyed within minutes. So yeah, and Goldie pretty much always has a bib on her at the minute, especially now she's teething and stuff, like she's dribbling loads. So I just recommend getting your hands on loads of bibs as well, because that's one thing that I definitely did not realise I would need so many of. Obviously, if you are breastfeeding, it might be slightly different. I'm exclusively formula feeding, so yeah, it might be different, but that's just what I recommend. High chairs. Now, this obviously isn't something that you need to get straight away, but we have the Stocky Trip Trap high chair. I got this because my sister has it, loads of my friends have had it, and they've just loved it. It's a great high chair because it grows with them. So we had the newborn add-on, which is great, especially if you have like dogs or you have other younger children and you'd like to keep your baby off like ground level. You know, if they're in, I don't know, like a bouncer or something like that, they're obviously on the ground. So if you need to keep your baby like higher up, away from like little hands or little wet dog noses, the newborn attachment's great because it just sits on top of the high chair and they're at like, you know, like table height, and Goldie loved that because she could just sit in that, and that was great. But then obviously as she has now grown, she now actually sits in the high chair, so you can get like a proper little attachment that goes on the high chair for them to sit in. And then as they get older and older, they can use it as a proper chair, and I think like even adults can sit in it. So it's literally like one of those high chairs that really does grow with them. It's quite aesthetically pleasing as well. A high chair is something that you're going to have out for a long time when you have a baby. So for me, I wanted it to be something that did kind of fit in like with the rest of my decor. We have like a wooden oak one, it's really nice, and I've actually just bought like a wipeable cover from Etsy to pop on it for when we start the weaning process. So yeah, really happy with it. I think it's great. You can obviously get way cheaper ones from like IKEA and stuff like that, but I can't comment on how good they are because we don't have that. But I really like this Stocky Trip Trap, and lots of my friends have used it and loved it too. Okay, sleeping wise, so we have the Snooze Pod, the next to me like cot. It's called the Snooze Pod, and I haven't tried out any others obviously, but she was like, has always liked this. It's always been really, really good for us. It has an anti-reflux stand, so if you are someone who thinks your baby might have reflux, or your baby just generally is quite sicky like Goldie is, it's great because it means that it kind of lifts the cot up just slightly. So you know, if you're putting them down perhaps straight after a feed or something like that, it really does help with their like digestion. So we really like that feature. It's a great size. It's got a zip down side, so you can zip it down and access them quite easily from your bed, especially if you've had like a C-section or something like that and you can't really move around that much. That's really, really great. So yeah, overall we really, really like it. I think it's really good. I can't really like comment any more on it. I obviously haven't tried other, you know, bedside cots or anything like that, but that's the one that we use and we've got on with it really well. I wanted to mention this in here. I know it's not really something that a lot of people would buy kind of straight away, but if you are traveling with your baby, then I really recommend the Bugaboo Stardust Travel Cot. So the reason that I really recommend this is firstly, it is so easy to assemble. It comes in quite a narrow kind of case, like it's pretty small, but you literally take it out of its case and it pops open. So it literally pops open like that, and then it just closes really easily as well. So it's so easy to assemble. And one thing that I really like about it is it has a bassinet inlay. So if you are traveling with a baby who's quite young, like we went away with Goldie when she was 2 months old, and you don't want to put them in like a huge big travel cot like all the way at the bottom, this is great because it just zips into it, and then they're sitting at a much like higher point in the cot, so it's really easy to get to them in the night and stuff like that. And obviously it's what they're kind of more used to with their little next to me cots and stuff. So yeah, really recommend the Bugaboo Stardust. I think it's great. Again, haven't tried any others, but for us we got on with it really, really well, and yeah, just think it's really good. Okay, let's talk about white noise machines, because there are so many out there and there are so many really, really expensive ones. And just it's a bit of a minefield. So you can get like You and the Sheep, Misty the Cloud. There's also that teddy bear, I think it's called like Mooney. There's loads of those kind of things out there, but we actually just use the little portable, I'm going to pop a picture on screen because I can't remember what it's called. It's just a little portable white noise machine. It's honestly about this big, so it's really small. It's really easy to take around with you. It has a white noise setting, but it also has loads of other different settings too, like lullabies and water sounds and things like that. It also has a little night light on it as well, which I found really helpful when I was in the hospital, for using when I was doing like nappy changes and stuff like that, or just in the night if I wanted to check on her. I could just pop that little light on and see her. It has timer settings too, so you can leave it on for like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or continuous. It's just so handy how portable it is, because we take it out with us in the pram, like when she's doing pram naps and things like that, we take it with us. And especially when Goldie was very, very early newborn stage, I found the white noise was so great for soothing her. So as soon as like she would get really unhappy and unsettled, I'd just put that white noise on, and it just meant I could kind of carry it around the house as well because it was small enough to do that. So yeah, really recommend that. If any of my friends have babies, that will be what I will be buying them for like baby showers and things like that, because I just think it was a lifesaver for us, and we still use it all the time now. We have one in her nappy bag and then one upstairs by her cot, so that, like I said, when we're out and about, we can take it with us. And yeah, really, really like it. I have friends that have used You and the Sheep and haven't really liked it because I've heard that the sound stops after 20 minutes or something like that, which might not be very useful for your child, and also apparently the battery life isn't very good. That's just what I've heard, so that's why we didn't get Ewan, because I know a lot of people do get him. But yeah, I really recommend the white noise machine that we have. And then another thing for sleeping is the Tommee Tippee temperature egg, especially when your baby is a very, very fresh early newborn. I was so panicky about temperatures. I was so worried about having too hot, too cold. It's a real concern, and like you don't know how many layers to put on them, and it can be quite stressful. So just being able to know what temperature the room is very, very helpful. And it has a light on it that basically changes color depending on the temperature. So if it goes above 20 degrees, then the light goes red. So you just know from that easily what the temperature is, and yeah, I just found it really helpful, and I actually take it away with us, like if we go to like a hotel room or anything like that, just so I know what kind of to dress her in to sleep. I found that really, really good. Dressing to sleep, actually, I know a lot of people love the Love to Dream swaddles. We did actually try these with Goldie, but she just didn't like them at all. So instead we just used the Tommee Tippee sleep bags, and they actually can be swaddles because they have little poppers on the arms. So if you want to keep their arms in, you can make it a swaddle, but we just let her have her arms out, and that always worked quite well for us. So we did get the Love to Dream because I did really want to try them because I've heard really good things, but yeah, she just wasn't into them at all. So if you also have a baby like that, then maybe it's worth trying a little sleep bag as well. The Tommee Tippee ones are great because they start from like a really young age. Okay, so now talking about the car, I just felt like I wanted to include this category because I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about it in these like kind of baby roundup videos. So car seats, again, it's probably a controversial one. I know there's a lot of like different opinions when it comes to car seats and which ones are the best ones and which ones are the like best tested ones and things like that. I'm just gonna tell you what we have, and then you can do with that information what you like. We use the Cybex Cloud Z i2 car seat. Sorry, I had to write that down just to make sure I knew I was saying the right thing. So yeah, we use that car seat, and we have it on an Isofix base. I would really recommend, if you can, getting the 360 Isofix bases, because it's okay whilst they're quite young to get them in and out of a car seat that doesn't swivel, but as they get older, and especially as they get to like toddler age, and they don't want to get in the car and things like that, it can be so difficult to try and get them in the car without accidentally like hitting their head on the car door or just having an absolute like battle with it. The swivel one is just so much more convenient. It just means that you can like twist it to you, pop them in, and then twist them around really easily, and there's no like trying to like get into really awkward kind of spaces and stuff when you're trying to put them in the car seat. So I really recommend getting an Isofix with a swizzle 360, whatever it is. For us, that's just been really helpful, and I know it's going to be helpful as she gets older as well. So there's that, and then yeah, we've got the Cybex car seat. One of the reasons we have this car seat is because it does recline, and it can be reclined when it's in the car, which is just really helpful. I live very far away, so I would be taking Goldie on quite long car journeys. Obviously I'm still following the regulations of the time that she's allowed in the car, but it's just helpful to have one that does recline because I do find that she does sleep better in that position. So yeah, that's the car seat that we have, and we really like it. It's very lightweight as well. It's very easy to take off and on the base. We did have another car seat to begin with, but it was an absolute nightmare to get it on and off the base, and I just found that really stressful. Whereas now we can take it off the base, clip it onto the pram with the adapters, and it's good to go. So yeah, that's the car seat that we have. Other things for the car, we got a car camera instead of a mirror. The reason that we got a camera is because I'd seen quite a lot about the mirrors, sometimes with the reflection of the sun can actually cause fires in the car, and also you can't really see very well in those mirrors, I didn't find. We did start with a mirror, and I just like could barely see her, especially when they're so little as well. So we got a camera which literally just like fits into your car. Sam actually did it, so I'm not sure, but I think it just goes into like the little like charging port or something like that, and it sits on the back of the headrest, and so you can see them really, really clearly and really easily. So yeah, I really recommend that. I will link the one that we got down below. Okay, so next up I'm going to go on to clothing. So a lot of people have asked me how many baby grows and vests do you need initially, and it's really difficult because it really does depend on your baby. But as I said, Goldie is a really sicky baby, and she, especially in those early days, went through so many baby grows. Like, I definitely didn't bring enough to the hospital at all. So unless you want to be constantly washing, I would recommend you have about, I'm gonna say like at least 15 baby grows. Maybe even a little bit more, like maybe get 2 packs of 10 or something like that, because it's just so stressful when you need to change them and you haven't got any clean baby grows. And yeah, I just think for me that would have just made things a lot more difficult if I didn't have enough baby grows. So that's roughly how many I'd recommend. You probably don't need as many vests, because often the vests are totally fine because they don't get like the sick on them or anything like that. But then at the same time, I suppose if your baby like leaks like from their nappy and stuff, you are going to need to change the vest. So maybe go for about like 12, 13, 14 vests as well. I really love the M&S vests. I think they're really, really soft, and yeah, I just really like them. In terms of baby grows, so many people said to me before I had Goldie, do not get popper baby grows, just get the zip ones. There's no point getting the poppers, the zips are so much better, blah, 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 blah. And I disagree. I felt like maybe now she's a bit older, and I think as she continues to get older, the zips are great, but the popper baby grows, especially when she was newborn and very, very young, was so much better, because the zip ones, it's hard to explain unless you can kind of see it, but the zip ones will like bunch up where the zip like doesn't sit flat against them. Obviously poppers will sit a lot more flat, but obviously where like the zip is stiff, it all bunches up. And I remember it used to like really bunch up under her neck, and I always felt like it looked quite uncomfortable. Also, if you're going to get zip, make sure they're two-way zip, so make sure you can zip from the top and the bottom, because otherwise when you're changing them with the zip baby grows, you have to almost like take the whole baby grow off if it doesn't zip up from the bottom. If it only zips up from the top, you're getting them fully undressed to change them. And especially when they're newborn, and Goldie in particular really, really hated having her nappy changed when she was very, very young. So if she was nice and warm and then I was having to unzip the whole thing and get like her whole body out, she was just going to get cold, and yeah, she just hated it. Whereas the poppers, you obviously can just unpop the bottom legs and like just get their legs out. So for me, I actually way preferred the popper baby grows for when she was really young. As she's older now, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I still like the popper ones, but I also like the zip ones too. So in terms of the popper baby grows, next, do such lovely, gorgeous, soft ones. M&S also really, really good. John Lewis, H&M. I got a few from Zara. Yeah, you know, supermarkets also do good ones like Sainsbury's, Tesco. So yeah, just definitely get a good load of those popper baby grows. Zip baby grows, I love the Baby Mori ones because they are the two-way zip. They're also super soft. They wash really, really well. So yeah, they are a little bit more expensive, but I've just packed away Goldie's 0 to 3 month clothes, and she had quite a few of the Baby Mori baby grows, which went through the wash so many times, and they all look brand new, so I'm going to keep them for future children. So yeah, I would really recommend the Baby Mori ones. Also, make sure you're getting baby grows with the inbuilt mitts, especially when they're really young, because those scratch mitts just do not stay on their hands at all. So if you can get the baby grows that have the mitts that go across their hands, it's just so much easier for you, because especially in the night, you don't want to worry about them scratching themselves, because their nails are so sharp. I'll get onto that in a minute. Okay, so this is kind of like my kind of other section, to be honest. It's all a bit of a mishmash. So these are just like the miscellaneous things that I found really, really helpful. So I may as well just talk about what I just said. So I love the Tommee Tippee, I think it's Tommee Tippee, yeah, the Tommee Tippee nail file. So it's like an electric nail file. And the thought of like clipping Goldie's nails with like actual nail clippers terrifies me, and it's actually surprising how often you do have to cut their nails. Like, they grow so fast and they are sharp. So I find this nail file really, really good. It's got a little light on it too, so you can kind of see what you're doing, and it doesn't bother Goldie at all. Like, she'll literally sit there happily and let me just file her nails down. It's really, really soft, but it does mean that you can get their nails like nice and short and not sharp. And I think if we didn't have that, I would just be panicking every single time I'd have to cut her nails, whereas now I don't even think about it. I literally just get it out and do it, no problem. And she's never had a problem with me doing that. So yeah, I really recommend the Tommee Tippee electric nail file. In terms of other like medicine or kind of like first aid kind of section, the Frida Baby, I think, is it Frida Baby or Frida Mum? One of those, the snot sucker. You don't think you're gonna need this, and then you need it, and then you don't have it. So I'd recommend just getting this from the off, because when your baby gets that first cold, it's very, very stressful, and it's hard, and you are very worried about them. So for me, the snot sucker was great because you basically pop it up their nose. It's like a long kind of funnel thing, and you pop it up their nose, and it has a filter in it, so when you're sucking, you aren't getting their snot into your mouth, don't worry. But you can really get a lot of snot out by sucking it out, and it really clears them up and stops them from being so congested and stuff like that. So yeah, it's also kind of satisfying as well. So I would really recommend getting that. And then also alongside the whole snot situation, we also had something. It's called like a, I think it's called a picker or something like that. It's from the brand Oogie Bear. I'll leave it linked below and a picture on screen, but it's like a little long kind of stick, and it has like a little picker on the ends of it, and it's great for picking out like big bogeys out of your baby's noses. And the reason that I say that is because when they're younger, they have such little nostrils obviously, and they only really breathe through their nose. So if they have like a really big bit of snot that's blocking their nostril, then they might struggle to breathe, and it's impossible. You can't like get your finger in there obviously because it's just way too small. So these are really, really good. They're really affordable from Amazon, and it's just, I use it all the time. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. And it's a little bit more niche. I feel like it's one that people don't really talk about very often, so that's a good one. And then also I'd really recommend you get a thermometer. The thermometer we use is the in-ear one. We did originally have the one that you like scan on their head, but I kept finding it was giving like wrong readings. So we got the in-ear one, and that one has been much better. I think it's by Braun, but I'll leave it linked below anyway. Okay, what else do we have here? So in terms of carriers, so I'm going to recommend two carriers. The first one I'm going to recommend is the Free Rider Soft Sling. I would recommend that you get a soft sling if you want to do baby wearing with your baby in those first like 0 to 3 months, because the more like harder kind of sturdier carriers, I felt as though Goldie was just too little for them and she wasn't supported enough. So I used the soft sling from Free Rider initially, and actually you can use that as they get older too. I haven't used it so much as she's got older, but it was really, really good in those initial days. Once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to put on, and I just felt like it was super soft and very, very supportive with her in that. There are loads of different brands of those carriers, and I think they're probably very similar really. The one we used was the Free Rider one though. And then as it comes to her getting a little bit older, needing like a more sturdy carrier that you kind of use out and about, like I only really use the Free Rider one in the house. The one that I use is the Artipoppe one. It's very, very expensive. I will say it's definitely a big splurge when it comes to baby products, but I just think it's so, so good. It's so easy to put on by yourself, and I think that is key, and that will really help your independence, is having a baby carrier that you can put on by yourself. It's really easy to put on. It's very, very comfortable. They're also really like stylish as well. So yeah, I really like the Artipoppe one, but there is another brand, and it's called, hang on, I'm gonna get it up. I think it's called Busy Growing, which my friend told me about. Yeah, it's called Busy Growing, and they do very, very similar carriers to the Artipoppe ones for a lot lower price. So if the Artipoppe one isn't in your budget, then I'd recommend checking out Busy Growing, because it's a very similar shape and it's a very similar like mechanism to get it on and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very, very similar, and I actually used my friend's one when I was with her, and I really, really liked it. And yeah, so it might be worth checking those out. So in terms of like other things like that, another thing that I would recommend is the Bini Bamba Pram Liner. So it's a sheepskin pram liner, and it's temperature regulating. So it's great if you are like me and someone who's quite worried about like the temperature of your baby. So it works in the summer, and it regulates them, it keeps them cool. And then it also works in the winter too, and it regulates the temperature and keeps them warm. It's also just so nice and cozy, like especially when your baby's like that little tiny newborn, putting them in the bassinet of their pram, Like for me, it just felt really like stark and bare and not cozy in there whatsoever. So putting them in, yeah, the bassinet with that fur liner just felt so much nicer and cozier. And yeah, Goldie's just always really liked it. We took it on holiday with us as well because it does, like I said, keep them cool. And yeah, I just really like it. It is a little bit more of an expensive item, but I personally do think it's worth it. You can also use it obviously just in the home, maybe in like a Moses basket or something like that. And yeah, I really love that. I think it's a really great kind of idea. It also has little holes in it for the straps, so as your baby gets older and they start using like the front facing buggy and things like that, you can use it with the straps. So it's kind of something that will grow with your baby and you'll probably use it for years and years, so I really recommend that. So for bath time, firstly, make sure you get a bath thermometer. Anyone will do, just ones that float in the bath and tell you the temperature, because obviously that's really important. So for a bath, we use the Snuggle bath. We did actually get the Angel Care one too, but Goldie hated it. She's actually finding it now, but initially she absolutely hated it. I don't know what it was, she just lost her mind. Whereas the Snuggle bath, she's always really liked, and we actually do bath time in the Snuggle bath downstairs. With the Angel Care bath seat, you have to have it in a bath. So for us, it's just sometimes easier to do the bath downstairs. So it's just comfier for us, like we can put it on the table and like she can splash around in there rather than like kneeling over the bath and stuff. So it's actually just like a full mini like standalone bath. And yeah, she loves it. She sits in there and splashes away for ages. So if you've tried the Angel Care bath seat and your little one doesn't like the bath, then it might be worth trying the Snuggle bath. I don't know if Goldie just didn't like the positioning of it or what it was really. But yeah, she likes the Snuggle one, but she does now she's older. She is fine with the Angel Care one, so it's up to you what one you want to use. Another thing that I would really recommend is the Rocket Rocker. So this is basically like a little contraption that attaches onto your pram and it rocks the pram. So if you have a baby that falls asleep to motion quite well, but then as soon as you stop the motion they wake up, the Rocket Rocker is what you need. It just very gently rocks the pram and it's just great for those on-the-go naps and just soothing them and stuff like that. It's really good. The only thing I would say is I don't think the battery life is very good personally, but I don't think there's really another option out there other than the Sleepy Troll, and that's really expensive. The Rocket is like a third of the price of the Sleepy Troll, so I don't know if anyone who's watching this video has maybe tried the Sleepy Troll and would recommend it. But for me, I think the Rocket does work well. You just have to remember to charge it. It's probably my fault, I'm just being a bit lazy and like I always forget to charge it. So yeah, would really recommend the Rocket Rocker, and that is also a good gift for someone for like a baby shower or something as well, because it's just so practical and useful. So the next one I want to talk about is the Docker-Tot, the sleepy head, whatever you want to call it. So we were very kindly sent the Docker-Tot, and we did actually use it a lot until I came across a different style of like baby nest called the Purflow. And the Purflow is actually approved for babies to sleep in. So the Docker-Tot, or it used to be called the Sleepy Head, the Docker-Tot is not approved for the baby to sleep in because of risks of overheating. But the Purflow is made of like mesh, so it is actually approved for babies to sleep in. So I think if you are toying between the two, I would go for the Purflow just because your baby can sleep in that. Whereas with the Docker-Tot, obviously you have to very much use that with supervision, and especially when they're very young, like they love the feeling of being, well Goldie did, she loved the feeling of being like nested in and like nuzzled in, and she used to kind of push her nose up against like the side of the Docker-Tot. So to know that she was safe sleeping in the Purflow because it was breathable, for me was much better. So that is the one that I would recommend. Okay, my camera battery is flashing at me, so that just shows how long I've been talking for, but I just want to chuck in a few extra recommendations. First up is the Love Every Toy Box. This is a subscription box that basically goes with them kind of like all the way from when they're like really young up until they're much older. So we got the 0 to 3 kit, so it goes with them. I think it's every 3 months. It might get different as they get older, but the 0 to 3 kit, which was great because it just provides all these really great toys that are perfect for your child's age, and it also comes with a little booklet to explain like how to use them and how best like the baby will like them and stuff like that. So initially the 0 to 3 one was all like the very much like black and white like sensory stuff, little sensory gloves, little sensory books and things like that, and it was just so good. They're really well made, nice toys. And yeah, it was just great, especially for that early period where you just don't really know like how to keep your baby entertained or stimulated. That was really, really helpful. And we now have the older one. We have the 3 to 6 month, I think it is, one, and we use a lot of the toys in that as well. So it's a subscription box, and I just think it's a really, really good idea. So I just wanted to mention them on here. Other things that I found really helpful in those early stages are the black and white flashcards on the black and white soft books. I found that really helpful to have near Goldie's changing table, because she didn't really like being changed at first, and I just felt that they were a really good distraction for her and she really, really liked them. So yeah, I would definitely recommend getting some of those as well. I also felt like Goldie loved, we had these little kind of wooden kind of shakers that had bells on them, and they had little ribbons on them too, the kind of like sensory shakers. I'll link them down below and I'll pop a picture on the screen as well. They were great when she was really young too, and now she's older, she loves them too. She like grabs them and shakes them, but they were really good when she was younger as well. So I'd really recommend getting some of them. I feel like that was one thing I definitely didn't really do, is think about like toys, because I just kind of assumed they didn't need anything when they were that age, and they don't really need anything, but it is quite helpful to have those little bits just for when their wake windows do get a little bit longer and you just kind of don't really know how to entertain them. They were really, really helpful, and they're really inexpensive as well, those little shakers, and things like colourful scarves and things like that was helpful. Just those kind of sensory toys. So I will leave a few ideas down below as well. I'm just quickly jumping in here. I'm actually in a full different outfit and everything, but I've just remembered that I didn't mention the Baby Bjorn bouncer. Love it, literally so good. I toyed with getting like one of those swings and things like that for them, you know, like the ones that kind of rock them like that. Love the Baby Bjorn bouncer so much. It's been great, especially when she was younger. It just like cocooned her really nicely, and now she's older, she loves like bouncing in it herself. So yeah, I really recommend that one as well, and I'll link it down below. Okay guys, I am going to leave it there. I know that was a really, really massive long list, and I know it's so overwhelming when you're pregnant, especially with your first, trying to work out what you should get and what's helpful and what you shouldn't get and stuff like that. So I hope that didn't overwhelm anyone. I hope that was useful. I will link absolutely everything down below in the description box. As I said, a lot of these are not necessities. You don't need them. As long as your baby is like fed and it has somewhere to sleep, then that is enough. But yeah, that's just everything that we found really, really useful and everything that I would recommend. I haven't really spoken about like changing mats and things like that, because to be honest, I think they're kind of much of a muchness. I would just really recommend that you have a little changing bag or like a nappy caddy downstairs as well as upstairs, so you aren't constantly having to take them up and down the stairs when you need to get them changed. But yeah, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.